Hello, everybody. It is Tuesday, March 10th, and welcome back to the Nick Watkins Show. I'm Nick Watkins. Let's get into it. We're going to start today with NFL free agency. Let's quickly recap some of the big moves that happened today, and then we'll get into some winners and losers from day one of free agency yesterday. So, some big moves that happened since we last talked. Romeo Dobbs, he went to the Patriots on a 4-year, $68 million deal. We also have Alontae Taylor going to the Titans on a 3-year, $58 million. Rashid Shaheed re-signs with the Seahawks, 3 years, $51. Jalen Watson to the Rams, 3 years, $51. Devin Lloyd, 3 years, $45 to the Panthers. We're going to talk about that today. We also had the Raiders sign a pair of linebackers, Quay Walker, 3 years, 40.5, and Nakobe Dean, 3 years, 36.03. Isaiah Likely went to the Giants. Isaiah Likely went to the Giants on a 3-year, $40 million deal. Who else? These are pretty big deals. Isaiah Pacheco goes to the Lions. Trying to find where that one was. Does not say the contract. Kaimi Fairbank got an extension, so he's now the highest paid kicker. Braden Smith goes to the Texans on a 2-year, $25 million contract. The Jets traded for Geno Smith, which is hilarious. And Isaiah Simmons goes to the Panthers. And it looks like some of the big ones. Yeah, so those are the big ones that are going on. Pacheco's pretty big. And then I'll try to remember which ones happened after I recorded because we're trying to talk about those in the instant reaction. But let's jump right in. Let's go with the winners and losers from NFL free agency day one. We're going to start with the winners. And I think the big winner from day one of free agency is actually the Las Vegas Raiders, which is kind of surprising because this team had the worst record last year and therefore have the number one draft pick. But what I get from them is their goal here in the offseason is to try and build around Fernando Mendoza, who they will eventually draft. But they're just loading up. They have the most cap space in the NFL heading into this year. And they're using that and they're spending big on big free agents. They got Tyler Linderbaum from the Ravens, gave him 3 years, $81 million, 27 a year. That's a lot. And then they also went out and, like I mentioned earlier, got the pair of linebackers, Quay Walker from the Packers, 3 years, 40.5, and Nakobe Dean from the Eagles, 3 years, 36.03. They also signed yesterday Jalen Naylor, wide receiver from the Vikings, 3 years, 35.03. The Raiders are making some big moves, and I respect them for it because they want to make sure they have pieces in place before they draft Mendoza so he can develop right, which is important for a young quarterback. And because if he doesn't develop right, then it's going to be a what if or a could have been. But if you have those pieces around him before he comes into the organization, it's going to allow him to be better. And I think Linderbaum is the big signing because he can also block for Genti, but he will be key in that O line protecting Fernando Mendoza. I believe they also have Robert Hunt. Maybe that's the Panthers. I could be mistaken there. Yeah, just forget that. But I have the Raiders as the big winner of free agency day one. Another winner, I'm actually going to go with the Carolina Panthers, who have dished out the biggest contract so far, 4 years, $120 million to Jalen Phillips. And then late last night, they signed Devin Lloyd to a 3-year, $45 million contract. I think the Jalen Phillips deal could be a bit of an overpay, although the defensive line market has been inflated because of the Parsons deal. But Jalen Phillips, when healthy, is a great player. The problem is he's not healthy all the time, and he has had his injury problems. On the other hand, though, Devin Lloyd is the other signing that they made late last night. And I really like this one. Devin Lloyd had 5 interceptions last year, and a lot of them came early in the season. I remember he picked off Purdy twice, and he had a pick six on Mahomes the next week. Devin Lloyd, he had 100 plus tackles in each of his first 3 years in the league, and then last year, year four, he had like 85 or something like that. So it's still a respectable amount. He's just a great linebacker. He was part of the reason the Jags defense was so elite last year. And now he's going to be going to Carolina. And the reason I think that these two signings are big for Carolina is because they already had Derek Brown, who's the D tackle, and they already had J.C. Horn, in addition to Mike Jackson and another defensive back that's pretty good that I'm forgetting. But if you take a look at the pieces the Panthers have on defense, that's a pretty intimidating unit. And we saw it recently with the Seahawks. Defense does, in fact, win championships. So for the Panthers, who made the playoffs last season, they get more on the defense. They get more players, more skilled players, in addition to still having a good young offense. And I think the Panthers are building something special, and it starts with their defense, who could be a very intimidating unit next season. So those are two winners. I think there's not really another team that stands out as a clear like win, although for the 49ers, I love the signing of Mike Evans. That's one of the only moves they've made, but it's a pretty big move, and I really like that. So I guess you can put the 49ers up there as a winner of the or a winner of day one, because just from this signing alone, it's kind of a small winner from day one. They didn't do anything wrong, and they did something right, so that's a win. Let's move on to the losers now. And again, they have plenty of time to turn their offseason around, but just on day one, I did not like what they did. Yesterday, in my instant reaction to the Pittman trade to the Colts and Alec Pierce signing, or Pittman's trade to the Steelers from the Colts, and Alec Pierce going back to the Colts re-signing, I said that I liked it for the Steelers and for the Colts because, well, what I was thinking was the Steelers got a good receiver in Pittman, and it worked out for the Colts because they needed the money to pay Pierce. But when I thought about it a little bit more, I realized I I think the Colts messed up. And I think Pittman is the better receiver than Pierce. And of course, they're kind of different receivers. Pittman's a bit more physical, he's bigger, and Pierce is the explosive deep threat that we've been seeing this past couple of years. But when I thought about it a little bit more, I thought that is a ridiculous amount of money to be giving Alec Pierce, who, I mean, he's all right. He's good as a deep threat, but $28.5 million, it's a lot of money over 4 years per year. And then I think Pittman is an established receiver who's brought a lot to this Colts team. He's a fan favorite. He's their wide receiver one. And now you just traded him to the Steelers to re-sign Alec Pierce. And I don't know if it was a question of picking between one or the other, because Pittman, he wasn't a free agent. He just got traded. But if I were the Colts GM, and maybe they know something that I don't, but for me, I'd take Pittman over Pierce 9 times out of 10. Maybe they're going to be going in a different direction at wide receiver. I'm not sure. But even if they were going to do that, I still think it's kind of an overpay on Alec Pierce, and that's why I think the Colts actually did not do the best job yesterday, day one. Another team that I think kind of, lost. They're not really competing, but I think the Cardinals did not make a lot of. I think the signing of Kendrick Bourne is awesome, and I'm very happy for Kendrick Bourne, and I'm also very sad that he's not going to be on the Niners anymore. That's a good move, but Gardner Minshew, I don't know about that one. That just feels like, is he going to be the backup? Because you already have a nice backup with. Actually, it is just the 1 year, 5.7. So I don't know what they're going to be doing at quarterback, because they're probably going to trade Kyler Murray. They did sign Kendrick Bourne. They also signed Tyler Algier, 2 years, $12 million. That's kind of a good deal. What was the other one? Isaac Samalo, who is the Steelers guard. He's coming over on 3 years, 31. I just don't really like them. I think the moves the Cardinals made are Granted, they are trying to rebuild. They're not going to be competing, but I don't get a good vibe from them except for the Kendrick Bourne deal. But and Algier could be seen as good, but I don't know. It just kind of got a weird vibe from the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals is a losing organization in general. I mean, shoot. And then we'll throw in one more loser. I think a team that didn't really do anything and yet lost just because of who they lost from free agents going to different teams. The Philadelphia Eagles, they lost a ton of players yesterday. Look at Jalen Phillips, N'Kobe Dean. Let's find some more Eagles that left. Just scrolling through, Reed Blankenship left as well. He was a big key to that defense. Those are three defensive players that all left the Eagles. Let's find another one. Let's keep scrolling down here. Where is another Eagle? Matt Pryor. I mean, he got no money. That's barely anything. But the Eagles, they did lose a lot of players. They lost Jahan Dotson too, I think. Um, let's find the list. Yeah, so I think the Eagles lost free agency day one just because of the guys they lost. I don't know if they made any deals, but losing Jalen Phillips, N'Kobe Dean, and Reed Blankenship, amongst others, those are three key members of that defense that got them to a Super Bowl and won that Super Bowl for them. Those are big losses, and they are a very deep team. They have a lot of depth, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So I'm sure their defense is still going to be fine. But those three players were key to that team. And I think they'll recover from that, but it still hurts to lose three good players like that. So even though they didn't really do anything, and it might not be the most fair to say to them that you lost, but I think the Eagles are kind of a loser from yesterday just because of who they lost. So just to recap the winners, I got the Raiders. I got the what else did I say? I oh man, I'm blanking. The Panthers. That's right. So for winners, I got the Raiders, the Panthers, and a win for the 49ers just by getting Mike Evans. And the losers, I got the Cardinals, I got the Eagles for losing a whole bunch of players, and I have the Colts for their wide receiver moves. So that's free agency. We're going to be keeping an eye on stuff that happened. Stuff that happens, rather. We're going to just keep an eye out, see what's going on. And then we'll maybe have some more instant reactions in the future. Now, we're going to switch over to baseball. We're WBC talk yesterday, from yesterday. And we'll start with the USA game. The United States of America beat Mexico in this Pool B game 5-3. The winning pitcher was Paul Skeens. He went 4 innings pitched, struck out 7, 1 hit, 1 walk, no runs allowed. He was magnificent. And I mean, he was dominating the hitters. His stuff looked filthy, and I think this is a sign of things to come for Paul Skeens playing for the United States, but also for the Pirates in the regular season. He won the Cy Young last year in his first full year. His ERA was 1.97, sub 2 ERA, which is ridiculous for a starting pitcher. Um, he struck out 216 batters in only 187 innings, and the Pirates were severely limiting him in terms of how long he can go in games because he is a young pitcher, and they're trying to make sure he doesn't get hurt too early, which is the right thing to do, especially when you're not competing. But if they take that limit off Skeens, I think he could have one of the greatest pitching seasons of all time. Just based on what I saw yesterday, he was so good. Um, and he was probably the MVP for the United States yesterday. Even though he only went 4 innings, they were 4 shutdown innings, and I can't wait to see him again in this tournament. Hopefully, probably in the playoffs. Um, for Mexico, the losing pitcher was Cruz. Um, I was actually kind of impressed with not the Red Sox, sorry, the Mexico bullpen. Um, they aside from the third inning where the U.S. scored 5 runs, they kind of held it down, and they were striking out a lot of batters. I mean, each pitcher in this game had at least a strikeout. Some had two. We didn't even see Munoz, and they were still really good. So I was kind of not expecting that because I don't really know many of the Mexican pitchers except for Taiwan Walker and Andres Munoz, and I guess Garcia as well. I kind of know about him, but yeah, I wasn't familiar with their pitching staff, and they impressed me yesterday, holding the Team USA lineup to just 5 runs. Those 5 runs came from a 2-run homer from Aaron Judge in the third, like I mentioned. And then in the same inning, Roman Anthony hit a 3-run bomb to make it 5-3. And those were all the runs the U.S. needed. The United States, 8 for 32. They had 7 walks. They struck out 10 times. And here's the stat that's still bugging me is 11 left on base. The United States keep stranding base runners. They left 13 on against Brazil, which we talked about here. Against Great Britain, they left 12 on base. And then yesterday against Mexico, they left 11 on base. That's a double digits every single game. That is not good enough, especially when you look around the WBC and look at what some of the other teams are doing, notably the DR and Japan, who are just killing it offensively. It's kind of worrying that the United States, who are supposed to be the best team and have the best lineup in the tournament, aren't putting up that many runs against lesser pitching. It's kind of worrying. We'll see how it goes tonight against Italy, but it is something that I'm watching out for because right now the U.S. looks like the third best team in the tournament behind the DR and Japan, and Venezuela is also looking pretty good. So right now, I'm not the most confident in the United States hitting. The pitching is what's really making the difference. Pitching is very good, especially the starting pitching. With that being said, though, I thought the bullpen for the U.S. could have been a little bit better. Matt Boyd, 2 1/3, 3 earned runs over those innings. He struck out 3. He gave up 2 homers. He was an all-star last year. Griffin Jacks was nice. Clevenger was nice, and the save went to Whitlock. Got a little bit dicey, but I was impressed with Whitlock's changeup, especially. It was very good. And the other thing we have to talk about from yesterday's game was Bobby Witt Jr. was fantastic. The offensive numbers, 2 for 4 with a walk and 2 extra base hits. It's 4 total bases. He also stole a base. But the main thing that Bobby Witt Jr. did to contribute to this game was play special defense at shortstop. He robbed Alejandro Kirk of a base hit, and granted, Kirk is probably the slowest runner in baseball, but it was still a beautiful play, diving to his right to stop it from going into the outfield and throwing him out. And then he made another play later in the game to rob another hit for Mexico. 2 fantastic defensive plays from Witt, and he was excellent yesterday. He was very good, and he was another big part of the reason the United States won this game. And that's kind of it from yesterday. Other scores, though, we got Venezuela 4-0 over Nicaragua. Puerto Rico beat Cuba 4-1. Great Britain beat Brazil 8-1. The DR 10-1 over Israel. Tatis hit a grand slam. Colombia beat Panama 4-3. And Korea beat Australia 7-2 to clinch not the postseason, but to clinch playoff spot for Korea. That's good for them. Other games going on right now. Or happened earlier and going on right now. We had Japan beat Czechia 9-0. Murakami hit a grand slam. But the big story in this game was Andre Satoria, who went 4 2/3, gave up 6 hits and struck out 3, but gave up no runs in 4 2/3 against the defending champ. This was a great performance. This guy is a literal electrician, and he held Japan to no runs over 4 2/3 innings. That is a special performance. When he came off the mound, everyone in the Tokyo Dome was giving him a standing ovation, applauding his legendary performance. And as soon as he came out of the game, Czechia imploded. Actually, that's not necessarily true. It wasn't as soon as he came out of the game. They scored all 9 runs in the eighth inning, so it was actually kind of close for the first 8. But once he came out of the game, it was kind of downhill from there for Czechia. But this is a fantastic performance from Sartoria. We got to give him praise. But the Canada, Puerto Rico also today, Israel and the Netherlands also today, and the big one for the U.S., USA and Italy. Starting pitcher Michael Lorenzen for Italy, and for the United States of America, the young kid Nolan McLean, who I was very impressed with last year in his uh, it was his rookie year, but he's also still a rookie. So this upcoming year will be his actual rookie year. Well, that's how baseball works. But I was very impressed with McLean last year, and I think he is going to be an elite pitcher in this league, maybe sooner than most people think. And I think he's going to have a good game tonight against Italy. Italy is 2-0. They have yet to play Mexico. So what that means is if the U.S. were to win tonight, it would set up a win or go home matchup between Italy and Mexico on Wednesday, which is tomorrow, which would be super exciting. But if Italy were to win, then I think if they would be able to clinch the 1 seed if they were to beat us and Mexico, and we would be the 2 seed. There's also some weird tiebreaker stuff going on with the run differential. So basically, the best way for the United States to ensure they make the playoff round is to win this game. And Italy is a good team. I actually am pretty high on them, as are a lot of people have really fallen in love with this Italy team. They have some cool. They're taking espresso shots in the dugout. They're doing this all the time. Um, it's a fun team, and the U.S. are going to have to beat them tonight to ensure they get the 1 seed and go 4-0 in pool play. So there's that. Let's move on to basketball. The Warriors, the Warriors lost yesterday. They lost to the Jazz 119 to 116. The Warriors just baffle me. I don't even know what to say. Here's a little something to say. The Warriors are now behind the Clippers. They're actually tied with them, but they have the tiebreaker, 32 and 32. The Warriors are still going to make the playoffs, but they're make the play in rather. They're not going to win anything. I don't want to talk about it anymore because the Clippers beat the Knicks last night. The other big game. This was a big game. The Thunder beat the Nuggets 129 to 126. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 35 points, 15 assists, 9 rebounds. There's something going on with like a point streak. I'm actually not sure what it is. Let's look it up. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Ah, I see. So, wow, it's pretty impressive. With this performance and his 35 points, he has tied Wilt Chamberlain for the most consecutive regular season games of 20 or more points with 126. That's a lot of games in a row. And I'm not even going to lie to you. I've kind of been hating on SGA. I kind of think he's a free throw merchant. But what I saw yesterday, especially in the clutch, was special. And I'm willing to admit he's a good player. Newsflash, everybody. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is good at basketball. But some of the shots he hit down the stretch, some of the threes he made, including the game winner, that was phenomenal. Um, yeah, it was great. I will say though, people are kind of going a little bit crazy, especially Grant Thompson, but he is deserving of praise, just not glaze. That's tough. Um, and then the Thunder won this game over the Nuggets, 129-126. Fantastic game. The Warriors play tonight. against the Bulls. Maybe we'll win. Let's also talk hockey because we got some hockey to talk about. Finally, the Sharks are back in action. It feels like it's been forever, even though it was only Saturday. Yesterday, the Canucks lost to the Senators. The Mammoth lost to the Blackhawks in overtime. So the Mammoths still get a point. The Kings beat the Blue Jackets in overtime. So the Kings get 2 points and are now tied with us in the Pacific for points with 66. We are still 1 point back of the Kraken. If we can potentially catch them or overtake them today, the problem is we have to go through the Buffalo Sabres, who are the first place team in the Atlantic Division. They are second in the entire Eastern Conference. They are a very good team, and we're going to have to beat them in order to not lose ground on some of these teams in the West. It's going to be a tough task, but I think we can do it. I mean, we have scored points in the last 5 games, 3 wins and 2 overtime losses in our last 2 games. But it's definitely possible, and with the power of friendship, the Sharks can win this game. It's going to be tough. The Sabres are a very good team, but if Macklin can play like Macklin and the rest of the team can rally around him, and Askarov is consistent in goal, I think the Sharks can win this game. It is going to be tough, but we kind of need to win this game because now all these games are turning into must-win games because it's so close in the Western Conference, and we're not quite there yet, and we can get there if we win this game. So we need to. The Kraken are the team ahead of us. They play the Predators. And then you also take a look at the Oilers, have to go up against the Avalanche. That's good for us. The Ducks have the Jets. It's not as good. The Golden Knights have the Stars. That's another tough task. Other West teams, that's kind of it. Or no, the Kings. The Kings have to play the Bruins. So the it's kind of favorable matchups for a lot of unfavorable matchups for a lot of Pacific teams. I mean, you take a look at the Kings, the Oilers, the Golden Knights, and us have to play some of the top teams in the league. Meanwhile, the Kraken have to play the Predators, who are still respectable. They're still hanging around in the Pacific, only a couple points back. But for the Kraken, it's a much easier task than some of the other ones, like teams like us have to go through. So it's going to be a very, very important day of hockey today. Hopefully, the Sharks can gain some points on some teams, hopefully, all of the teams, but it's very important we don't lose points. That's the main thing. So that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.